in your introductory presser, you made it very clear that you came here not just to compete, but for Rutgers to win. Outside of the money that takes, in terms of building a culture, how do you recruit the top tier student athletes, coaches, and staff to help with those big goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. And right now I'm doing that on the staff side, right? And so one of the opportunities here was to build a team of people. We've had some attrition within the department, and so incredible opportunity to bring in some folks for my team. And it's going after the best. And so I'm doing that right now and seeking from some folks that I know would do really, really well at Rutgers, and hopes to attract their talents and then get them in here to perform at a really high level. With the coaches, and already I've started, working with them from the recruiting standpoint. I've had the time to already visit with some fabulous prospective student athletes and just talking through how we raise the bar, right? What obstacles have they had to work through in the past? What are we doing really well? I certainly don't want to start, trying to tweak or blow up something that's working for us, and instead to recognize those deficiencies and work through it. And so you'll see me continue to do that beyond the staff and student athlete side of things with coaches as well.
You've mentioned that the landscape of college sports is changing so drastically. In terms of building revenue, how do you make Rutgers more desirable in not just the NIL space, but the traditional fundraising as well?
Yeah, well, winning is a huge part of that, right? And certainly you can only do that when you're playing the games, and there's a schedule for that. And so over the next 12 months, while we can't speed up that schedule, we can certainly work to perform at our highest level to put up some good wins and let people see that there's progress being made. But outside of that, our brand value is really important. And there's some strategy that goes behind that, how we're working from a sponsorship standpoint, what type of attention we're bringing to the university and athletics specifically, how we're powering through that with a landscape right now that's heavily centered on the student athletes and what they can bring to that table, and finding those abilities in order to elevate that value. From a donor standpoint, and I've already been, fortunate enough to visit with a few of them, they're going to continue to hear me talk about our strategy surrounding the performance of our programs, how they can be a part of that, what I'm already seeing in a short period of time, what I see as some real potential on the horizon. And so having those conversations and helping them to understand how they can be a part of it, and therefore increase that value, is certainly critical to our success.
As you mentioned, winning is definitely king. Rutgers has been in the Big Ten Conference for a while now. What's the biggest lesson that you have learned in your experiences working with universities in the Big 12, in the SEC, to help a program grow and win more within their conference?
Yeah, it's a combination of, you have to have awareness of what your competition is doing and how you stack up against that. And then from there, it's certainly looking at our current circumstances, but also layering in what the history looks like and what's on the horizon. So, if there's infrastructure from a brick and mortar standpoint, what does that look like in a world where we're sharing revenue with our athletes? How do we distribute that in a way where certain programs are able to capitalize on that from a recruiting standpoint, but to also have a pulse as to what's going on competitively? Anyone who follows Rutgers closely can already look at certain programs and say, wow, there's a lot of competition in the Big Ten for that program or that sport. That's going to be difficult. Or, we might have the capability to be successful in this program or that program. And so you'll see me take an approach where certainly I want to be able to get all of them, performing at their best, but certainly certain programs have better capability than others, just based up on a number of things that are outside of their control and within their control. And so again, it's understanding that and then mapping out a plan for those expectations and making sure people perform to those.
You come to Rutgers with 15 national titles under your belt, 34 conference titles. How do you not only cultivate a winning culture, but sustain it for the long term?
Yeah, well, and you note the championship piece of it. That's a big part of what drives me. And take, for example, we've got some incredible people here who have spent decades at Rutgers, and they want so much to experience that at the highest level of success. And I see part of my job as owing that to them, right, to be able to do that. But certainly taking what we have and making sure that people recognize the capability that exists there. And that's the beauty of sports, right? We all know of the Cinderella stories and those instances where all of a sudden you see a real success happen, and then there's other ones where it's expected and they happen to meet those expectations. But you're going to see a mentality that starts at the top, right? Because that's important for a trickle down, where administrators believe in our success, our coaches believe that they can win here, and then that's going to translate to our recruits, our current student athletes, and having everybody pushing in the same direction to just continue to perform at the highest level that we can.
I do think the trickle-down method is so crucial in really any organization. What do you want to trickle down from you all the way to the student athletes so they can perform to their best ability?
Yeah, well, it's a combination of resources that I'm going to work really, really hard to make sure they have those in order to be successful, but it's also a mentality. And yes, I recognize, the history of Rutgers and some of the challenges there, and I certainly can go out and see from a ranking and what things look like both here recently and historically. And people can look at that picture in two ways, right? They can look at it and say, wow, this is a really, really difficult place to be and challenging to win, or they can say, hey, again, that's the beauty of sports, and with the right people and the right resources, you can really secure a lot of great things, and that's my goal, and they're going to see me be really, really optimistic about it and be bullish about the opportunity we have here.
Something that really stood out to me in your introductory presser is you said you want Rutgers to punch above their weight. Being in such close proximity to New York City, one of the most influential cities in the world, how does that physical location help the Scarlet Knights punch above their weight to get to these winning goals?
Yeah, well, I love that you brought that up, because in a short period of time, it's in the fabric of who we are as people, and you kind of feel that way. Admittedly, that's a big part of my background, right? And nothing was ever given to me easily. We were taught at a very early age to work hard, to expect a lot of yourself, and to give it your all. And as I spent time here and even looking at it before the opportunity completely presented itself, you heard a lot about that grit and resilience, and it was in those moments where I said that's a really good fit for me and who I am and the type of team that I want around me. And so I love that mentality, because I think it's just the best thing that you can have both in life and certainly in the world of sports.
And with that mentality that you have, that gritty mentality that you're determined to win, it seems like that helps women in sports in leadership roles coming up behind you. I say anytime that there is a successful woman in a power position, in a leadership position in sports, they may not know it, but they are trailblazing the way for women behind them, women that they may never meet. When you think about where you want your tenure at Rutgers to look like, how do you want that to help propel women coming up behind you in leadership roles?
Yeah, well, I think you've seen it in recent years in the success of women's sports and programs and how much that's elevated across the country. We still have work to be done there, but you're starting to see that momentum. And certainly it's my job and expectation to not only keep that going, but to even push it above where it's at. And when I look back on it, that's going to be a piece that's extremely important to me. With that said, you're going to see me also pour into the men, right? And I'm going to love on them both and do everything that I can to make sure they can be successful. But the fact that I sit here when not that many, women across the country find themselves in a place of a Big Ten or an SEC or a Power 4 role, that is not lost on me. And I take it as a great, incredible responsibility that I'm so grateful for President Tate and everybody who has supported me in it. And I'm going to work really hard to make sure people look back on it and say, wow, she did an incredible job. But at the end of the day, I've just been really thrilled with what I've seen from our fan base, who have welcomed me so much, and the pride that has trickled in and around me. Certainly, it's been a great week and a half.
Keli, thank you so much. Congratulations on this new role, and wishing you very much success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.